Hello, welcome to Excel class. My name is Glenn Harris, and I'm a certified technical trainer and Office Master instructor. My goal is to teach you to excel at Excel. In the second tutorial in the series, I would like to introduce you to data entry techniques. Although Excel's primary purpose may be to create formulas and perform data analysis, formulas and data analysis require the proper foundation. In this lesson, we'll explore data entry techniques, as well as shortcuts to cut, copy, paste, undo, erase, autofill, and how to create what we call a custom list. I would ask you to switch to Excel, start a blank new workbook, and then imagine we'd like to create a list of employees as a company directory. In our first lesson, we examined navigation techniques, and those same navigation techniques from Lesson 1 also pertain to data entry Lesson 2. So if we're going to create a list or an employee directory, typically the first row might have column headings or labels. What I would ask you to do is type the word first, and then press the Tab key to move right. Type the word last, press the Tab key to move right. Type the word title, press the Tab key, move right. Type the word phone, tap the Tab key, move right. And then type the word email. But instead of pressing the Tab key, I would ask you to press the Enter key. You'll notice that Enter moves us down and to the left. Then I'd like you to enter one row of data. I'll type my first name, I'll press the Tab key. I'll type my last name, and I'll press the Tab key. I'll type my title, I'll press the Tab key. I'll type a phone number, I'll press the Tab key, and I'll type an email. But instead of pressing the Tab key, I would press the Enter key. Notice that the Enter key moves us down and to the left. When editing in Excel, there are two techniques we follow. There is no right or wrong, it's all a matter of personal preference. But one of the techniques I refer to as in-cell editing. Imagine I would like to edit the word first and change that column label to read first name. Recall that to select a cell, we need to point our mouse at the center of the cell. And instead of single-clicking on cell A1, I would ask you to double left-click. Double left-clicking puts us into in-cell editing mode. I'd ask you to notice if you look at the top at the ribbon, many of the commands on the ribbon are grayed out when we're in editing mode. In the lower left corner of your screens, you should also see the word Edit. To the right of the word First, I would ask you to type the word Name, and either press Enter or Tab to commit your edit. A second approach to editing is called formula bar editing. And imagine I need to edit my email address. Can I ask you to navigate to cell E2 where you've typed an email address? Instead of double-clicking on that cell to edit, notice the contents of your cell appear in the formula bar, and I could also use the formula bar to edit, where this provides us more space to work. When you're done editing, don't forget to press Enter to commit your edit. If you're working on a Windows computer, there's a shortcut to access in-cell editing mode, and the shortcut is on the top row of my keyboard. I could press the F2 key. When I press F2, you'll notice that the ribbon is grayed out, and in the lower left, you would see the word Edit. When performing data entry in Excel, should you need to enter a date, I would rather you don't type the date. Don't type what I'm putting on my screen, but on the bottom row of your keyboard, there's a key called Control, CTRL. If you were to hold the Control key and tap, touch release the semicolon to the right of the letter L, I'd ask you to notice Control semicolon will insert today's date, and then you press Enter. Should you like to insert the time, Control colon, Control Shift colon, will insert the current time. Imagine I'd like to move the date to a different cell. I'd like you to learn different techniques I suggest for cut and paste. One of my favorite techniques would be to right-click. I would ask you to point your mouse at any cell where you've entered a date. Imagine I would like to move the date to a different location. When working on a computer, you need to be familiar with the word cut. And I would ask you to right-click on whatever cell has a date. And when you right-click, we get what's called a context-sensitive menu, where I would ask you to left-click on the word cut. Point your mouse to the center of a different cell, right-click in the middle of a different cell, and below the word paste options, click on that little beige clipboard icon. When people ask you if you know computers, I believe that they need you to know that Control and X means cut, and Control and Victor means paste. So you hold the Control key, press the letter X, let go. Navigate to a different cell, hold the Control key, tap the letter V. And I'd also like you to learn that there's a shortcut I use for cut and paste. Recall in Lesson 1, we learned that the fat white plus symbol was called a selection cursor, and you would typically see a fat white plus symbol when you point your mouse at the center of a cell. What I would ask you to do is click on a cell that has information, and then point your mouse at the border, at the thick green edge, and you'll notice that the fat white plus changes to a four-headed arrow. Hold your left mouse button on the edge, move your mouse up or down to a different empty cell. When you let go, this is referred to as drag and drop. It's a variation of cut and paste if you're moving a short distance. If you use Excel extensively, as I do, there's a time-saving technique we could use to copy. What I would ask you to do is point your mouse at the top or bottom border, look for the four-headed cursor. As you click and hold your mouse and drag this to a different cell, don't let go of the left mouse button yet. To make a copy of this date, hold the Control key, and then release the mouse button before you release Control. And Control drag is a nifty technique to make a copy. Then imagine I would like to undo the changes I've just made. When people ask you if you know computers, they'll expect you to know the word undo. At the top of your screens, we have this little section called the Quick Access Toolbar. And you'll notice that I'm pointing my mouse at this white backflip arrow. Each time I left-click on the white backflip, that means undo. And you should know that there's a keyboard shortcut to that, which is Control and the letter Z. You hold the Control key, press the letter Z, and that means undo. And then the last feature I would like to look at in this lesson is a feature called autofill. Notice in the lower right-hand corner of a cell, we have a green square. And when I point my mouse at that green box in the lower right, I would ask you to notice that the fat white plus cursor changes to a thin black plus cursor. That's called an autofill cursor. What I would ask you to do is click once on a cell that has a date, point your mouse at the green square and drag that, let's say, 5 or 10 rows and let go. Notice that Excel generates a series of dates. Excel also knows the days of the week. If you navigate to another empty cell, probably to the right of the date, I would ask you to type the word Monday, press Enter to commit your edit. Go back and click on the cell where you've typed Monday, and as much as I can drag the green square, as long as you're touching another column of data, now you can double-click the green square, and double-clicking allows that to travel vertically, but it won't go left to right. Excel can also generate quarters. If I go to another empty cell and I type QTR1 or Q1, I press Enter to commit my edit and I click the cell. Double-click the green square, and whether you type Q, QTR, or the word quarter, Excel knows how to generate a series of dates. I could also generate sequences of numbers. I'm going to click an empty cell to the right. I'll type a 10 and press Enter, and below that I would type a 20 and press Enter. And I would like you to highlight the 10 and the 20. Point your mouse at the center of the number 10, fat white plus selection cursor. Click and hold your left mouse button, drag your mouse down about 1/8 quarter of an inch, and then let go. After you've let go of your mouse, now point your mouse at that green square in the lower right, double left click it, and Excel could generate a sequence of numbers. Realize, however, that Excel does not necessarily know how to generate a sequence of names, but we can teach Excel how to do that. Let's say I were to have a list of departments and I were to type the word sales, and when I drag the green square, I would like Excel to generate a list of other departments like finance, accounting, administration. As much as I would like you to be aware that the green square creates, also realize that I could use that green square to erase. What I would ask you to do is highlight some data, point your mouse at that green square, click and hold your left mouse button, but then drag your mouse diagonally up and in across the interior of the cell. And when you let go of the mouse, you could use that green square to erase. So let's imagine that I've typed a list of departments, but I never want to have to type that list again. So I'm going to add a sales department, I'll press enter. I'll put marketing, I'll press enter. Administration, I'll press enter. Accounting, I'll press enter. Finance, I'll press enter. Research, I'll press enter. The idea here is that when I type the word sales in the future, I would like to let Excel generate a list of other departments for me. So to teach Excel to generate a custom list, what I would ask you to do is highlight this information that you've typed. Then click on the File tab of the ribbon, and at the bottom of the File tab, find the word Options. When you get to File and Options, there's a category on your left called Advanced, and after you click on the Advanced category, I would ask you to scroll all the way to the bottom and find a command called Edit Custom Lists. What we need to do here is import the list we selected, so I would ask you to click the Import button. Then you click OK to that, click OK to Excel Options, and I'd ask you to erase that list you've typed. It doesn't matter if I type this uppercase or lowercase, but go to a different cell, type the word sales, and press enter. Go back and click on the word sales again, and then now if I go back and drag the green square, Excel generates a list for us. But realize that this list only lives on your computer. If you were to send that workbook to another coworker, your coworker does not have the ability to use that feature. I would like you to now practice what it is you've learned, and to practice this, I would ask you to download a file from excelclasstraining.com/downloads/dataentrylab.a.xlsm. And I would ask you to realize that the file name and the path is case sensitive. Once you open up this file, there's a good chance that there's an Enable button at the top of your screen. And if you click on the Enable button, that will open up this question window. I would ask you not to close the question window, avoid clicking the X, but move the question to the side by dragging the top edge here, click and hold your mouse on question 1. So the question says select cell A2, and in A2 I would ask you to type as of 2015. When you're done typing, press Enter or Tab to commit your edit, and that's when you would click Submit your answer. The second question says navigate to cell A1, edit the text, and remove the word statistics. It may appear that the word statistics is in columns C or D. It's not. All of that text is in cell A1. And recall that when we have a lot of text in a cell, I would recommend that you edit that text with a formula bar. So if you highlight the word statistics and press backspace or delete, don't forget, I need you to press Enter or Tab to commit your edit. And that's when you would click Submit your answer. Question 3 asks you to cut the date in D2 and paste it into A28. Recall that one technique I could use to cut and paste is I point my mouse at the center of D2, I right-click on the center, now I left-click on the word Cut, then I point my mouse at cell A28 and I right-click A28, and when I right-click, I would use the little beige clipboard icon to paste, and then you would click Submit your answer. Question 4 asks you to copy cells A1 to D30. So I need you to point your mouse at the center of A1, fat white plus selection cursor. Hold your left mouse button in the center and drag your mouse down and right. After you highlight all that data, right-click Copy, Control-C Copy. Then I would like you to navigate to Sheet 2 and paste that into cell A1. And once you paste it, that's when you would submit your answer. The last question asks you to use these two dates in cells A1 and A2 to generate a series. So I need you to highlight both cell A1 and cell A2. Point your mouse at the center, hold the left mouse button, drag down about 1/8 or 1/4 of an inch, let go of the mouse. Then you would point your mouse at the green square, and I'd like you to now hold your left mouse button and drag the green square at least past row 10. Here I can't double click because there's no data to either side for this to travel. That's when you would click Submit Your Answer. You have to click OK to Well Done to continue using Excel. And to continue practicing your data entry skills, I would ask you to download another workbook called Data Entry Lab Day. I'd like to thank you all for coming to my video tutorial on data entry, and I hope that you found this helpful. If you have any comments or feedback, I'd love to hear that. I look forward to seeing you again next week for Lesson 3, Introduction to Formulas and Functions.